I think we're live. So if you've not joined a Siren event before, welcome. This is day 2 of Siren Digital Festival. And yeah, we've got lots and lots going on. Siren is a Suffolk-based initiative run by young people for young people. We do events about the environment, supporting each other through what is quite a difficult time, really, especially when we chat about the environment. Start popping things in the group chat. We want to hear from everyone who's here. So say hi in the group chat. Have you been outside today? What's the weather like where you are? Where I am, it is beautiful blue sunshine. So I think it's quite ironic we're inside doing a live stream. Let's play the intro. Amazing. Oh, I love that. It's such a vibe. It really chills me out. So welcome to all our lovely panelists. Do you guys all just want to quickly wave at everyone watching at home? We've got quite a few of you today. So we've got Dimetrip, who is an American-born freestyle rapper and singer, and she's going to be playing us out at the end. I can see her just having a sip of a cup of tea in this beautiful, luxurious forest that she's created on her screen. Poppy Brown, who is Deputy Member of the Youth Parliament for South Suffolk and Ipswich. Hi, Poppy. Thanks for coming. We've got Tommy. Tommy's a mental health first aid instructor. He's the Executive Director of Student Life, who are based in Ipswich. And he's also a motivational speaker. And then we've got Hazel and Laura, who come as a duo to everything. It's always Hazel and Laura together. They're students in their final year of sixth form at Farlingay. And they're also wild swimmers, and you guys have been wild swimming for about a year now, from what I gather, which is really cool. We've got Francesca Tidd, who works with wellbeing people and is really passionate about nature. We have got Lucy McRobert, who's a communicator, a naturalist, co-founder of the Youth Nature Network, author of 365 Days Wild, which is really exciting. I can't wait to chat to you about that. I think that's everyone. If I missed anyone, no, there's so many in this one. It's so exciting. We've got so much to talk about. I guess, yeah, let's just go quickly around the room and hit the nail right on the head from the start. What's the best thing that you think you can do for your mental health in nature? And we're going to pop it as a poll up on the screen as well for everyone at home, so we can hear your comments as well. So yeah, a couple of sentences. Best thing you can do for your mental health in nature. I'll go across the screen. Poppy, do you want to jump in first?
Okay, I think mine's probably quite an obvious one. It's just to go outside and have a walk outside.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Hazel, what do you think? Obviously, I'm kind of expecting you to say swimming, but is there anything else?
No, I feel like my thing is definitely swimming, but like I think it's doing whatever you enjoy and kind of whatever kind of you think like makes you happy, and kind of whatever you can kind of get involved in and be around people. And I think definitely being around people is really important.
Yeah, I think especially right now, that's a really good point. Laura, do you agree with that?
Yes, I'd like to echo what's been said, but also I found, especially recently, kind of exploring new places out in nature has been a really good way to kind of distract myself from everything that I'm doing at home.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I definitely found like a ton of walks around here that I had absolutely no idea existed, like cute little ponds and lakes and things, which is really cool. What about you, Tommy? What do you like to do when you get outside in nature?
Just just definitely just get outside, get hiking, get walking, just see new places. It's fantastic, and I'm so glad we live in Suffolk where we've got that opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I forgot that you're such a big hiker. You really vibe with the hiking, don't you?
Yeah.
Lucy, how about you?
I would say when you go outside and you spend time outside, take a moment to reflect on how it makes you feel. So remembering your emotions, if you're frustrated or if you're feeling down or if you're feeling really happy and really euphoric, make a note of them, and it can really help to keep a wild diary so you remember what you did and how it made you feel. And it's great to read that back to yourself if you're having a tough time.
I think that's a really good point. And I think for me, I like to keep like a little voice note, because sometimes I'm like, oh, writing things down is just a bit of effort when I've been writing down for like school or something all day. I think, yeah, keeping a diary is such a good idea. And Francesca, how about you?
I think starting really simply, just getting outside every day for a walk, even if it's only like 10 or 15 minutes. I think just getting some daylight is really important, because that can be kind of easy to miss sometimes, and it's such a simple thing that makes a huge difference. But if we're going a bit bigger than that, then I absolutely love just jumping in the sea. So I'm really excited to hear more about wild swimming. So yeah, I'm actually planning on going to the beach today for the first time. I'm tempted to jump in because it's really nice weather, but we'll see how I feel when we get there.
Yeah, definitely. What you said about daylight is such a good point, because I can't speak for anyone else, but my sleep pattern is pretty dodgy at the best of times. And when it's the depths of winter and you know, you're not waking up till midday and then the sun sets at 3:30, you know, you've not seen any daylight. It's such a good point. How about you, Cordelia? What do you like to do out in nature where you are?
I was just going to say it's a little bit more complicated for me because I have mobility issues. I can't always walk. So for me, sometimes it's just about looking out the window. Sometimes that's the best I can do, or just like going out in the garden. I can't always go out into nature. So sometimes it's just about appreciating it visually for me, just looking outside, seeing birds and trees and the sky, you know?
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's really easy to come at this topic from an ableist point of view. So I think that's something that we all do need to be really mindful and really considerate of, is that not everyone has the ability. And sometimes it's just about looking out of a window, which is really lovely. So we've got good morning from Rhett. Today in Aldeburgh is a day to cheer up even Eeyore. Oh, lovely. And he likes to move, look, listen, smell, touch, be curious, explore, appreciate, receive experiences. It's kind of grey where Starkman is, but he's been getting some much needed rest. They've been getting some much needed rest. I can't actually see the results of the poll. Has anyone voted in the poll? Not too sure. But we'll leave that one and come back to it later. So let's go into, oh, there we go. There's the poll results. Okay. Oh, wow. Really split across the board. So yeah, we've got 4 people saying exercise, 4 saying creativity, 4 saying wildlife watching. No one's saying getting from A to B. That one was a bit of a wild suggestion, but it was mainly just I didn't have a car, so I walked to Tesco. Fresh air, and then socially, because obviously COVID. So that's really interesting. Thanks guys for taking part. Let's go into our first video in that case. So our first video is Voices of the Younger Generation, and it's been made by Hazel and Laura. And from what I gather, you guys went out in your school and chatted to people in the playground, especially 11, 12-year-olds, to get their opinions on being out in nature. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, let's chat more about it afterwards.
How do you think the planet helps us? Yes. It has the right atmosphere, and it has all the resources we need to live. Do you think the planet helps us? I think it helps us because it actually has an environment, an atmosphere, and a surface temperature that allows it to sustain life. Yeah, like I'd like to be GP. Yeah. Like, because there'll be no trees that produce oxygen. Yeah, so it's important to preserve that, isn't it? Yes. What's your favourite place to go for a walk? Probably the forest. What do you like about the forest? We need to pay more attention to the nature because it needs to be saved. Yeah, wonderful. That's great. We like walking in natural environments. Lovely. Okay, go pick your next cute.
What's your favourite place to go for a walk?
In the park.
Go for a walk. What do you like about the park?
It's like we pretend there's an alien that crashed there. It's so
Perfect. So you find that really exciting?
What's your favourite place to go for a walk?
Oh, I like right the seaside because like you can see all like the dunes and the sea. I like to walk in my bedroom. Yeah. I like taking the walk in the forest with my dog because you can smell everything and it's like a nice, beautiful.
So it's natural setting.
Yes. What's your favourite place to walk? Around my house because I live in an area with a lot of wildlife and it's very clean.
8. Do you think it is important to go outside daily? Yes, because you can get your exercise done and you can get fit.
Do you think it's important to go outside daily then?
No.
Well, she doesn't think so because they're good at the monster. Right, what were you?
I said free shed. Free shed.
Well, I think it is because you get
I mean,
you get fresh air.
Right now, are you enjoying the fresh air?
Yeah, because you get fresh air.
We're not running so much. Actually, no, because you could die of
Yeah.
I enjoy going outside daily because it can help the plants and it can get you fitter.
Okay, that's enough, please.
Do you think it's important to go outside daily?
Yeah.
Yes,
So for your health as well. And do you think it's good for sort of your head to go outside and yeah, very good. Very good answer.
Do you think it's important to go outside daily? It is because you get more oxygen into your lungs if you're outside than you're inside.
Yeah.
And you can get exercise outside.
Are you feeling that at the moment?
Yeah.
Good. You're all very rosy cheeked.
Yeah.
So what do you think the most important thing about being outside is?
Fresh air. Fresh air.
Oh, fresh air, definitely. And do you prefer would you prefer being outside in a big urban area or where there's loads of buildings or out in the countryside?
Out in the country.
Wow, I love that so much. It's so slightly manic, but they're all so enthusiastic. Hazel, Laura, what was your favourite comment that you got when you were making that?
It was quite manic to film it, to create the video as well. I think personally my favourite thing was how enthusiastic they were about. They all had such decisive answers, and they seemed to really believe that going outside was a good thing, and they all echoed each other. And I think they really enjoyed the way that we collected the information as well, because we had them all running around finding answers all around the different fields at school.
It's an amazing game. Hazel, did you want to add anything?
I think it was just how unfiltered everything that they were saying were, and just how you'd ask them a question and they'd all just give you like this completely decisive, and it was so made up in their minds how important it was for them to be outside. And I think you don't really give the credit enough to those young people who can really see the problems kind of emerging in front of them and how important it is for them to be outside and be able to do that. And I don't think you give it enough credit for them actually being able to understand that and how important it is to them, like on a very personal level, which I think
I especially love the comments like, and you can pretend there's aliens, and I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. Lovely. We're going to go straight into the next video, which is from Hazel and Laura as well, and it's all about wild swimming. And I know we're going to have like quite a long chat on this one, because it's something that I'd never really thought about before, swimming in rivers, or I've been really quite scared of. degrees. 4 degrees. I can't even go for a walk in 4 degrees. I'm so impressed. Hazel, why did you guys take up wild swimming?
I'm not really sure. It was kind of, we just decided one day after school. We just wanted to go for a swim, and it's something that I've always kind of been around this. Like, I've always done quite a lot of wild swimming, and I was actually inspired by my auntie who does it for chronic pain, and it really helps her with that. And so I kind of was inspired from that. And then me and Laura just decided one day to go after school, and we've kind of been on a weekly basis, or like every month ever since, which has been great.
That's really cool. And Laura, so obviously you've been swimming a lot. What do you normally do directly? So obviously you talked about layering up and drinking tea. What do you normally do straight after that? Do you go home and take like a warm shower, or?
I think the most important thing we've found is just to keep moving. So it kind of helps that we've picked quite a fairly remote location, so we have to walk quite a bit, which means we get our body temperature up again and warm up our core. But yeah, we've also found that it works in between lessons at school, because we have some free time in sixth form, and it's quite a nice way to de-stress.
Yeah, definitely, especially when you're doing A-levels in the current climate as well. So yeah, we're going to throw a poll up on the screen for everyone at home. How many of you have swum outdoors? There's a multiple choice here. Never see lake, river, reservoir. So go ahead, let us know, and we'll have a quick chat about it. But I wanted to chat to Francesca real quick, because you said at the start that you were interested to hear more about the wild swimming. How has that tempted you, that video?
Definitely, yeah. The fact that you went in late January, that gives me no excuse today, does it? I've definitely got to get in. But no, that's really interesting, especially all of the scientific kind of benefits and stuff like that. I know that when I've been, it definitely makes me feel like more refreshed and alert when I get out. I feel like I've been cleansed and feel much clearer in my mind. But yeah, I'd love some recommendations of like places to go in the southeast, because I've been obviously in the sea and on a river, the River Rother, I think it is. And actually got caught in a hailstorm, so that was double awakening. So, but yeah, no, I love that. That's great.
Yeah, this is it. When everyone thinks about swimming outside, we think about the sea, and not everyone has the access to the sea. Yeah. So it's good to explore other options. Let's see how we're doing on the poll. Do you want to throw the results up? So we've got 2 people who've never been wild swimming, which is fair enough. A lot of people swimming in the sea, a few in lakes, rivers. Yeah, rivers quite popular, I think, especially in Suffolk, because our rivers are quite clean. It's quite a nice place to go swimming in rivers. Quick comment from Davey. Do you think children living in rural locations have a better understanding of their environment? I just wonder how children of the same age in urban locations, for example, inner London, would answer the questions that Hazel and Laura put to them in their video. I think that's a really good point, a really good question. That might be a good question for Lucy. How do you feel children in urban environments would answer the questions that Hazel and Laura put to them in that video we listened to?
So although it's quite a common perception that there's a divide between countryside and city, polling by the Wildlife Trust and the RSPB a couple of years ago showed that the exact opposite was in fact true. Because of the isolation that countryside children tend to face, so not having friends close by where they can walk to, not having access to pavements, not having access to places that their parents perceive to be safe, almost those places are perceived as being too wild for their parents to actually let them go out and play unattended, whereas children in cities tend to have access to parks, copses, spinneys, places like that, where churchyards is quite popular, places like that where children can actually be quite safe and can be together because they naturally have more access to other people. So the poll actually showed that children in Wales were significantly more disconnected from nature than children in inner city London, which was really interesting and completely unexpected. However, on the other side of that, there is a class issue and a diversity issue, where you do tend to see children from less privileged backgrounds, from more ethnically diverse backgrounds, being more disconnected from nature. And there's loads of socio-cultural factors playing into that. Depending on where they live, that can look like a countryside city divide, but it's actually far more complicated than just saying countryside kids and city kids. It's more to do with class, privilege, the way that we're brought up, and the factors that our parents bring us up with.
Mm-hmm. I think that's such a good point. It wasn't entirely the answer I don't think any of us were expecting, but as Ian's just put in the chat, what Lucy's saying is very interesting and very surprising. It's really important to remember that not everyone grows up with access to a garden, especially I know, like when I was a student, I had like a bed on like a 4th floor flat, and I barely went outside unless I had to, because I didn't have anywhere to go. And it's definitely a class thing as well as everything else, and a diversity thing. Thank you. Tommy, you look like you were nodding along with that. Did you have something to add?
I mean, it's just yeah, I completely agree. From there's tons of studies which have gone out, which Lucy sort of touched on a few of them. The cases of cultural diversity factors in majorly within sort of our awareness of our environment, just what you grow up with, traditions. It's amazing to see the different mental health statistics that come out of the different cultures around the UK that we have, and we are quite culturally diverse. Whereas Suffolk doesn't have that diversity, somewhere like London really does.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, fantastic. Let's move on, and I'm going to chat to Poppy really quickly about her work, because she's amazing. She's only 15. I know we're meant to be aimed at 16 to 25-year-olds, but we've bent the rules slightly for Poppy because of her amazing CV. So I think we were chatting the other day, weren't we, about activism and sort of your activism in particular and what you've been up to for the last year or so. Do you think activism is sort of a solution to young people's climate depression that we're seeing a lot of right now? Or is it sort of an added burden? Like, do you think eco-anxiety exists? What are your general thoughts on that topic?
Okay, yeah, I do think eco-anxiety exists because, I know I felt it myself, and someone actually at my school, they said, why are you doing all of this stuff about climate change if you know that no one will ever really do anything about it? And my answer was just because I couldn't be able to look at myself if I knew that I knew all of this stuff was going on and I wasn't acting on it, if I knew that I hadn't even at least tried to inspire other people to do more and I think that's just a big part of what I would try to achieve. I think it does help activism in a way, because then you feel like you are doing something about your eco-anxiety or your climate depression because you're acting upon it, and so you're not just sitting back and doing nothing. I think that does help. It's helped for me personally to know that I am doing as much as I can. I mean, I could be doing more, obviously, but from what
this is it, isn't it? This is absolutely. I'm just really quickly going to throw a poll up on the screen. How does knowing the impacts of climate change impact our day-to-day mental well-being? But I think that's an excellent point, is that you're doing something in order to stop yourself being depressed about the future and raise awareness. But then we could always all be doing more. There is never enough hours in the day. But then that becomes such a sort of burden for us that it then reduces our mental well-being again. And it's this kind of vicious circle. Have you ever found that you kind of go to bed worrying that you should be doing more? Like I do.
Yeah, definitely. I think it really does depend, like, what's happened in the news recently. Like when David Attenborough gives one of his documentary talks, I think that's always something that makes me think, oh no, I could be doing more. Look at all of the penguins and everything, which I think is probably everyone's thing that makes them think they could be doing more. But what I'm trying to do is not only to act on it myself, but also to kind of help raise other young people's voices so then they can feel like they're acting upon it as well. So that's what my role is in Youth Parliament. I'm not there to just act for what I'd like to do, but also act on other young people and also help them act.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the beauty of climate activism, is we're all trying to support each other to achieve our ultimate goal. So let's look at the results of the poll. We have got 4 people said yeah, it affects them a lot, knowing the impacts of climate change, and we've got 4 people saying a little, and as you know, I said not at all. So I think we're all kind of on a very similar mindset right now. So following that was all quite heavy. Let's go and take a quick mindfulness moment. We've got a beautiful video made by Felix, who's a local photographer and naturalist, and it's just a very relaxing winter blizzard taken earlier this year. So lovely, really relaxing. I feel like I need to speak in a lower pitched tone now and just, vibe like when you're getting a massage or something. So that was by Felix Alred. You can find him Felix Alred Wildlife across pretty much all social media, Instagram, YouTube, everything like that. So thank you, Felix. That's amazing. Let's move on. I want to chat to Lucy real quick because you've written this amazing book all about communicating and nature, random acts of wildness. My question to you really is, what's the best way we can communicate with young people about the benefits of nature? Sort of, we've had this discussion about how different young people connect to the environment in different ways, and it's very key to their upbringing. So yeah, what's the best way to communicate?
I personally would say, and I've sat in so many meetings because I've worked in the conservation sector and the charity sector. I've sat in so many meetings with a load of kind of 50 to 60-year-old white guys, all with beards, going, how do we talk to young people? And then coming up with the most horrendous ways of talking to young people. And it was always painful, frankly. And it's one of the reasons why I've kind of left the professional sector and gone freelance, was because to me, the easiest way for young people to be influenced is by their peers. There's a lot of research that shows that you are most influenced by your immediate friends and your family. So if we assume in this instance that people older than you within your family may not be the most eco-minded, my own parents certainly weren't when I was growing up, but what we're talking about more is your friendship circle. So you are more likely to show certain behaviours and you're more likely to adopt certain behaviours if your friends are doing it with you. I think peer groups are the most important thing. I think Greta Thunberg and other activists like her are so important, because there's no point listening to me at the age of 30 or anyone else about these things. You have to feel empowered by your own age group, and that was a massive issue for me growing up. No one in our school was interested in nature, so as a consequence no one else got interested in nature, and it was a self-perpetuating cycle. What I love about what you guys are talking about is that you're going out and you're talking to people in the playground, you're talking to people on the field, you're talking in the classrooms about this. It's become a very normal conversation, and that is the strongest form of communication that we have at the moment. for young people. It's amplifying their voices, their ideas, their projects, the things that they think are important. And older people taking a step back. We are the enablers. We're the people who can sort the funding so that you can do your projects. We're the people who can do the boring admin bits behind the scene that you don't know how to do because you don't have the experience. We're the ones who can take legal responsibility for what you're doing. But ultimately, self-led, self-initiated projects are so important. On that note, I am just sliding a slight plug in because Suffolk Wildlife Trust, to celebrate their 60th year, are setting up a youth board which is going to advise the trustee board on youth policies and what kind of education work they should be doing with young people. So if you are interested, check out their website and have a look at that, because it's going to be really, really exciting, I think. And their new CEO is just so forward thinking and really in a listening place and an understanding place. So do get in contact with them about ways that you can help them and shape their strategy.
Mm-hmm. That sounds amazing. I'll make sure we share that on social media so that everyone can have a look and get involved. Thank you, Lucy. I think what you've done there is made a very nice summary of what Siren is, in that we have amazing people behind the scenes who support us and do all the admin, and I will start welling up if I talk about how amazing they are, but ultimately they let us guide where the project's going and the voice of the project. And I know Tommy will vibe with this as well. We've been sat in meetings with people where they're like, how are you connecting with young people? We just can't connect with young people. They're not on Facebook, they're not here. And we're like, yeah, it's because you're not using young people to connect with young people. It's word of mouth and spreading from one person to the next. So yeah, thank you so much. We've got some bits going off in the comments. I'd love to hear people's thoughts in the comments. I'll read them out. Nature is definitely the antidote to eco-anxiety, and it can also make you even more aware of how fragile it is and make you sadder. And then ha ha ha. So I don't know if that's based on the comment or based on something someone said, but yeah. You're so right, Lucy. It's at the heart of everything that Siren does. Brilliant comments, Lucy. Best way to speak to young people is to listen and enable. So I think, Cordelia, obviously you communicate a lot through your music. You're very creative. I'd be really interested to know what you think the best way of communicating is with young people. Do you think music is the answer in creativity?
I think it can definitely be, I don't think anything is, a one-way street. I think to get a project going, a grassroots project, you need everything. You need all of the things that people here have mentioned. And I think, yeah, creativity, music, art of all forms, visual art, poetry, spoken words, it all helps convey a message, and it helps touch people, because facts are important, understanding what's going on. But, just like you're doing here, where you're laying out some heavy things and then you're having something to relax people and take the edge off. I think that's what art does as well, and that's what music does as well. And so that's why I think it's really important, because if people are just so depressed by the facts but not inspired by the beautiful things, like going out in nature and listening to beautiful music, or creating things themselves, writing lyrics themselves, or whatever makes them happy, then then it's just a one-way street, and then we don't get much done.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot of nods from the other panelists. And it goes back to sort of like what Poppy was saying earlier about David Attenborough and how he does throw some really hard-hitting stuff at people, but we do get to enjoy the beauty of the animals at the same time. It's really interesting. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to add onto that? Give us a wave if you want to speak. No? Yeah, no, we're good. Okay. Oh, yeah, go on, Hazel.
I was just going to say how the way we managed to connect, because we kind of run like a council in school to kind of spread the environment, and the way we got those enthusiastic responses was by kind of tapping into the things that they really enjoyed doing, and they were the kind of a group of people who love running around and getting involved in things, and the way we kind of got that enthusiasm out of them was by setting up an activity which kind of brought out those kind of that awareness in them. So I think it's very much kind of targeting it to the group that you're trying to kind of connect with, and so I think that's really important as well. And just kind of finding lots of different ways to spread that awareness in lots of different ways as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think I love the idea of the game and having them run around the playground. It's such a fantastic idea. So I've got a few comments coming through. As an antidote to climate anxiety, I feel that wilding effects of being in nature can contextualise the importance of your individual role and encourage you to feel more comfortable in simply being a part of nature, which is a really, really lovely comment. Let's go into our next video, which is from Felix Alred again, and it's all about herons. And I think it's a nice segue because Felix is a fantastic communicator, and we've just been talking all about communicating in nature. Do you see that? It was a very slick segue there.
The most amazing thing literally just happened right now. Hello guys, welcome back to another video. I'm currently here in Suffolk, which is where I live. Back home it's early December, so it's pretty cold at the minute. The sun has just set and yeah, there isn't much light left. I had planned to try and photograph geese flying overhead, but oh here they come. Okay, well I'm not going to be able to catch these guys because my camera's in my bag and I wanted to get it on the tripod. I don't know if you can see the geese flying overhead, they're quite far away at the minute. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to photograph because there isn't really much happening at the minute. But I've got my camera and so we'll just see what happens. Okay, so I'm back here in the same place, but it's 2 days later because I need to explain to you what actually happened when I put my camera away and stopped filming because something quite special happened. So I'm in the exact same place that I was 2 days ago when I took these photos. As you can see, there's this long bank that stretches from the river all the way to the path that I was walking along. I just saw this movement and out of the corner of my eye, and I could make out just a beak and its neck. Instantly I knew what it was. I knew it was a heron, and instantly I saw the potential of getting a very nice photo. I was working with a 70 to 200mm lens, and so I knew that the minimum shutter speed that I needed would have been 500th of a second. I was working on the widest aperture as possible to let the most amount of light in. I just had a few seconds to think of it because usually herons will just fly away. So I quickly adjusted the settings and took one photo like that, just one, and it didn't fly away. And so I fired off a few more shots and it continued to walk along the river's edge. I was not expecting this to happen whatsoever. It was just something that came out of the blue, but I was ready. I had my camera in my bag, I knew what settings I needed, and I took the shot, and I'm super happy with how it came out and super grateful for the experience as well. I saw a heron just walking along the bank of the river, and it was just perfectly silhouetted with the rest of the bank, and yeah, the water was highlighted perfectly with the sunset, like the colours of the sunset. I'm going to end it there. That was quite something, I must admit. What a way to end the day, honestly. I'll share a few photos with you at the end, which I hope you'll like. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.
it's so easy to get caught up in his excitement. I'm not a bird person, and by the end of that I was like, oh my god, look at the herons, this is amazing. Yeah, someone just put in the comments, I love his enjoyment of nature. So hang on a second, let's have a look what else is going on in the comments. Co-production of social programs is a rising priority in parallel services like the NHS. The comments from Lucy agree with this as placing empowerment with the people affected, young people with climate anxiety. Listening to others is a great place to start. Yes, that is very, very well said, Christian. So yeah, Felix, being out and about in the world, enjoying nature. My question really is to Francesca, and sort of how do we find time to enjoy nature the same way that Felix does in a world that's kind of governed by 9 to 5, you know, in school and in the corporate world as well, where I know you do a lot of work.
Yes, I think one of the most important things is carving out that time. Like I said at the beginning, I think just allowing yourself 15 minutes to get outside every day is so important, whether that's because you're studying from home, or if you're doing homeschooling, or if you're working from home, or when you're back in business and back in schools and everything. I think carving out that time and doing that every day is probably one of the best things that you can do. There was actually a bit of research that was done by the Happiness Institute that our wellbeing director had an interview with them the other day, and they shared that actually spending 15 minutes outside was one of the best things that you could do for your well-being, especially over lockdown. It was measured against things like talking to a friend or other things that are also good for your well-being, but that was the thing that came out top. So I think doing that and making that a part of the sort of culture of a workplace or culture of your school or family life is really important. And then, yeah, I guess just finding things that you enjoy. I think what's been so nice to see from this conversation is that everybody's found something that's really specific to what they love doing, like wild swimming and photography, and just making that a part of your day. And I think that's really important, to not just be working or not just be studying, but actually getting some time and finding something that's really unique to you that you can do in nature is really important. And this has been lovely to see, like some of the ideas, because it's definitely inspired me to get out and do some similar stuff this weekend.
Yeah, I think what you said about ingraining it into the culture of your workplace is a really good point, because it's so easy to sit at a desk for 8 hours a day. Tell us a little bit more about your work with wellbeing people. Yeah,
so we basically work with businesses to transform the wellbeing culture of their company, basically. So we design programs for them that help to engage and empower their employees. So we have a Recalibrate program, which is like a wellbeing coaching program, and it's basically about making sure that companies have wellbeing ambassadors within the business who can then create the ripple effects of wellbeing throughout the company. So like really simple things that we kind of advise and encourage is things like going outside and walking when you're having meetings, rather than like having, which I know is a bit difficult at the moment, but rather than having like Zoom meetings, saying like, why don't we go for like an hour walk instead, and have that same conversation. And then that actually is one, enjoying nature, and also you're kind of like the fact that you're moving forwards, you're walking forwards, you don't always have to look that person in the eye. It allows sometimes for a bit more creativity, you can be a bit more bold with things that you might not necessarily say. So kind of just encouraging things like that, where you're being a bit creative with how you're getting outside and having the conversations that you'd be having in a stuffy meeting room.
I think that's such a good point. I've definitely found when I've been walking next to someone, and I think it's also an inclusivity thing, because not everyone is always great at holding eye contact or feels comfortable holding eye contact. You're much more creative, and people are more happy to elaborate than when you just sort of sat around a whiteboard.
Yeah, exactly. And even for conversations, personal conversations, if it's a conversation that you want to share something about your mental health with a friend, if you're having that conversation outside, moving forwards, and you're sharing that, you're probably going to feel a bit less exposed and a bit less intimidated to share what's on your mind, and maybe a bit more open to things that you might not necessarily say if you were indoors face to face with somebody.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Poppy, in school? How do you think we can integrate sort of getting outside in nature a bit more into the general school life? I guess outside of Corona and inside of Corona.
Well, I think one of the biggest things is like having your like school councils and having an eco committee in them, because generally they inspire, you know, young people who join school council, who select few, but you know, it's great when we also inspire other people. Like I've held assemblies, and from that I'd like to think I've inspired people to get outside and appreciate nature more and have walks, but also just sitting outside at school. Like with coronavirus, we have been, well, not forced, but we now have to sit outside at lunch and at break time to reduce transmission spread. And actually, I think it's had a really positive effect on all of our well-beings, because we've been outside for like, I think in the end it's 70 minutes a day we are outside, and it's really nice and calming.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you may have just answered there without even realising is a question we had popped through, which was, what about those who are disabled? Often a walking meeting would exclude me, which is a really fantastic point. And maybe sitting, but not sitting directly staring at each other and outside is potentially a solution to that. I definitely know that being sat on a park bench or sat somewhere that's more accessible, but where you're still viewing nature, even if it's just looking out a window, maybe can help those creative juices flow a little bit and help us connect with nature in sort of regular 9 to 5. So we had a question pop through in the chat. Do you feel that the same principles apply to engaging more BAME young people specifically? I think this popped through when we were chatting to Lucy in terms of engaging young people. Lucy, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, absolutely. On a number of levels. So we're seeing the same kind of thing at the moment with the uptake of vaccination. And the government has realised pretty quickly that it's no good the government trying to encourage people from BAME backgrounds to take the vaccination. They need spokespeople within their own communities. You also see the same kind of thing, which used to be very common in the nature conservation sector, where what you do is you get a big pot of funding from like HLF or someone for a 3 to 5 year project, and they would employ someone who was not from that community. They would be parachuted in to tell people what changes they need to make, how to live their lives, how everything that they were doing was wrong. And that just reeks now of white saviorism and something a little bit missionary about it. It's not okay for people to do that. And the funding bodies are now realizing this, that the way that you enact change within different kinds of communities who may not have grown up with the same values and ideologies as a lot of white people in the UK, is that you need to use people from within those communities as spokespeople, and you need to bring about change at a community level if you want it to be long lasting. Otherwise, what you do is you just have a project that meets targets and then they pull out and leave, and everyone's left wondering, well, what next? What's the point? This happens a lot when you get areas of land, for example, that have been set aside. They're turned into community gardens. They are managed very specifically for 5 years, and then the funding dries up, you leave, and the area goes to rack and ruin and becomes a bad area, an area where you might get drug abuse, or you might get people hanging out and drinking, or you might get other unsavory things happening. If you have community buy-in and people understand and value the role that you're being asked to do, and there's a community benefit to doing it that is communicated from someone within that, inside that society, it is always more successful. But at the same time, we must avoid things like being patronizing and telling people how to live their lives and saying, oh, we've got a really good way. Often we don't. We get so much wrong. And it's about listening, it's about understanding, it's about empathy. And it is the same principles as when you talk to any group of people, whether it's young people, whether it's women, whether it's LGBTQ plus groups. You need to use spokespeople from within those communities, or it is just vacuous.
Absolutely. David just put in the comments, great reply, Lucy. It's definitely something he's addressing more. It's something that I think we're starting to get through to on funders, in that they need to be funding people in those groups in order to reach those groups. we've just literally had that discussion about young people, and I think it's exactly the same across the board with every marginalised group. So yeah, thank you. We've also had a comment, great ideas, Francesca, re using the outdoors creatively, even with work and study, especially during lockdown and COVID. Time in nature is a vital antidote, and we all have too much screen time. We say as we sit in front of a screen to chat about it, and the sun is shining outside. So fantastic. I think we are running quite close to time, but let's move on real quick to Tommy. So you do a lot of work on mental health first aid with Student Life, which is based in Ipswich. So kind of want to chat to you a bit more about like what support is available in Suffolk for young people with regards to their mental health and well-being, and what the work is that you do with Student Life really in local schools with mental health first aid.
So mental health first aid is something that's really come into its own in the last few years, with the government announcing that all schools require at least one mental health first aider in their schools by, I think it's 2027. And so to tackle this problem, Student Life, which is a charity run by young people, we all came together and decided that we as young people wanted this knowledge. So Student Life has started going into schools and training sixth formers in mental health first aid. Again, as we've just been discussing, you know, people listen to people who they are like. So trying to improve that. But within the mental health first aid so training, we give two main bits of advice. And the first one is encourage professional support, which in Suffolk, we're lucky there's some really fantastic organisations like 4YP, which is based in Ipswich, or Survivors in Transition. We have like the Samaritans Trust, which have been really forthcoming with wanting to improve their work with young people. And the other one is encouraging self-help, which is fantastic to see everything that's been said in this live stream, encouraging that self-help, getting out and doing something to improve your own life, as well as getting some support from somewhere else. So that's mainly what we do with Student Life, is trying to encourage self-help, try and upskill young people, but then also give them the knowledge which they want and need to know about.
Yeah, definitely. I think the work that you're doing is fantastic. I didn't know that every school was going to have a mental health first aider by 2027. I think that's a fantastic target to have. It's really, really important. And it's really important for people to reach out if they need help. So we'll make sure that we share on social media links to websites and helplines later on today. That's at It's Siren Calling on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Francesca, did you have anything to add to what Tommy's just said there?
Yeah, it sounds like the work that Tommy's doing is amazing, and I think that just having those conversations, having events like this is really key, and encouraging children and young people to talk about their mental health is so important. So yeah, amazing what you're doing.
It's amazing what you're doing as well. You know, everyone's working so hard. It's fantastic. Okay, thank you. Let's chat to Cordelia. Dimetrip. Hi, hon.
Hello.
So tell us a little bit about your music. What do you try to communicate across in your music?
Well, you'll see one of the tunes is actually like perfect for the questions that you guys have been discussing. It's about how nature lifts me up. And it's one that I wrote like 2 years ago, so it's just, happy coincidence. But yeah, my music's quite personal, has been for a long time. It's not, even though I do hip hop, it's not very much bravado. It's more self-deprecating than anything. It's more self-analysis, looking at my own flaws as a human being. And but I'm moving more away from that and moving into discussing more political things and trying to see things from other people's perspectives as well. But yeah, it's a live looping set. I loop my voice and my beatboxing and my guitar with this loop station here, and then I rap and sing over that.
Okay, wow, amazing. I'm so excited to hear it. What's your like biggest connection with nature? What lifts you up in nature? I know you're about to sing a song about it, so that might answer the question, but what lifts you up?
At the moment, we're in a ground floor flat for a few months, just transition flat, and there's a little garden outside, and we have birds that come every day because we feed them like apples and seeds and stuff, and we have 2 blackbirds that come every day, and they're so funny. They're absolutely hilarious. So I am a bird person. I really enjoyed the heron video. I actually rehabbed a magpie last summer, found like a magpie with a broken wing. And since it was COVID, all the nature shelters were shut except for one up in Aberdeenshire. So we had to drive it like 3 hours up to Aberdeenshire once it was well enough. But we had him for 2 weeks in our flat. His name was Sweetie. And yeah, I love birds. So just looking at birds outside, that's it for me. That's makes me so happy.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a comment that's just popped through. It says, as a bird nerd, Cordelia's making me smile so much. And it's so true. I have a question. Do your blackbirds fight in your back garden, or are they really good pals?
No, the 2 blackbirds are pals, but the male blackbird is very territorial, and it's really funny because he keeps like chasing away the sparrows and like the blue tits and all the other birds so that he can have the food to himself. So we've taken to scattering the food more around the garden so he doesn't fight quite as much. Yeah.
I have exactly the same issue
with the other blackbirds. Yeah.
Yeah, no, pigeons will eat everything, and they don't eat anything for the robins, and I'm sat down like, just want to feed everyone, okay? Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to bring Zoe onto the screen real quick. She's going to tell you about the rest of the festival, and then Dimetrip's going to play us out. So over to you, Zoe.
That was amazing. It was really interesting to hear like how the younger generation, how important climate change is to them, and how much they notice what's going on around them. So make sure to check out tickets to our other events this weekend. I think Sophia has put a link in the chat. And up next at 2, we've got Should We Let Our Countryside Go Wild? And the tickets are over on Eventbrite. So rewilding is a form of ecological restoration where humans leave areas to nature. But the question we'll be asking is, does it really improve biodiversity? And how can it be realistic when so much land is needed for housing, business and agriculture? So yeah, sign up to that at 2 o'clock. And also sign up to our mailing list to hear about future events. And make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at It's Siren Calling. I think that's also in the chat. And any more questions, feel free to tweet us using the hashtag Siren Digital or DM us on Instagram.
Thank you, Zoe. I just really have to quickly correct something I said earlier. Felix's surname is Alred, not Aldred. That's my dyslexia kicking in there. Alred. Amazing. Dimetrip, take it away.
Great. So yes, I'm Dimetrip. This beautiful art you're seeing was made by my partner, also known as Future Yen. So if you like that, go and check us out. This first tune that I'm doing is called The Distance. Also, I recommend you listen to this with headphones if you can. song, speaking your tongue. The day falls, the night is one. Over the rooftops, her sweet melodies ring clear like a breeze across seas. She brushes off her bruised knees and takes each fall like it's the first time she's tasted the earth. First time she was birthed was in the late hours between notes and questions. Meaningless lessons with second guesses, and therein lies the depression. The weight of blankets is a soft anchor, and her breath flows steady like the river that separates her from her lover, the other. His voice muffled in the distance, but it can still be heard in between the silky notes of birds, writing down their questions in the air, signaling in increments and signs that things have gone amiss. The storm is coming, and no song is strong enough to keep it at bay. There's no way back to yesterday. Just this moment, will you own it? She reaches her hand across the gap, slap back, she recoils and falls flat. Just like the first time, but this time with more gusto. Sing me a song, speak in your tongue. The day falls, the night is one. Over the rooftops, her sweet melody rings clear like a breeze across seas. And her being means everything and nothing all at once. It's all too much. She cries out into the distance. It's all too much. Why do the birds only warn to flee, but they don't take me with them? Was it all pretend? Are you not my friends? I put my hand on the page, but the story ends. There's no next stage and I'm at the edge. She reaches her hand across the gap and grabs it, just in time to keep her feet in line. And she snaps back, just like the first time, but this time with more gusto. Sing me a song, speak in your tongue. The night falls, and day has run. Sing me a song.
And then I look out my window, I feel the trees, I see the sky. I don't know why, let it pass me by. I see the trees, I see the sky. I see the sky, I see the sky. And the trees, the river runs all the way to the ocean. So much commotion, gotta mix up my potions, gotta wake up early, sun rises before me, still I get on my way. Still I look out my window, I see the trees, I see the sky. I don't know why, let it pass me by. I see the trees, I see the sky. I see the sky, I see the sky. I feel the sky, feel the sky, feel the sky. Gotta get away from this commotion. Take me away, take me away now. Ooh, take me away, take me away now. Gotta get away from this commotion. Take me away now. Feel the sky, feel the sky, feel the sky. All right, one left. This one is called Gratitude, and it's just about, being grateful, really, for what you have, and realizing not everyone has what you have. Not to feel bad about it, but just to be aware of it. Being able to walk, being able to talk, being able to listen and eat, swallow and chew. All the things we take for granted, things we never knew, things we never think about, things we ought to talk about. Gratitude. Having a roof over our heads, sleeping on the floor or the bed, rather than the cold hard ground, nothing but the stormy sounds of feet passing by and wheels turning, the gears and cogs whirling as we all are left behind one way or another. I just wanna slow it down, make you think about the things you're grateful for. People out there suffering. There's people who can't get a meal. There's people at war. I've had it good, even though I've had to scrape and grind. I still sleep warm. Don't feel bad for what you have. On a tous une voix qui doute de chaque choix. On a tous des rêves, malheur, tristesse, on va être plus loin. Mais le temps qui passe, la vie qui coule, faut qu'on se débarrasse des pensées qui nous rendent plus basses, avec gratitude. Regardez vos voisins, on est tous humains, avec compassion, le même regard peut aller plus loin. Et la voix qui change tout autour de ta tête, un vrai esprit se reconnaît. The inner child you must protect. Je veux ralentir le moment, te faire penser, te rendre reconnaissant. Il y a des gens qui souffrent grave, des gens qui ne peuvent pas manger, des gens qui sont en guerre. J'ai eu de la chance, même avec le train-train quotidien. Je dors au chaud. Non, te sens pas mal pour ce que t'as, mais ouvre les yeux et mets-toi au combat. Mets-toi au combat. With gratitude. Yeah, gratitude. With gratitude.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who took part. That second song especially was absolutely perfect. It really hits the mood of this whole session. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your days. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to Dimetrip. Thank you for everyone organising behind the scenes. Next one starts in 35 minutes. You can get tickets over on Eventbrite. I've linked it in the chat. Should Our Countryside Go Wild? And get outside, enjoy nature today. All the love. Bye.
No.